and gentlemen, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made, and guess what? We already rejoicing, we're already glad in it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you don't know, now you know. I'm your host, Ramonepreston. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta on this Wednesday, W-I-N-S day. It's a Wednesday, and this is the day that the Lord has made. Here's what I want you to do for me very, very quickly. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit that share button. I need you to tag Lolly Dolly, everybody, and let them know your boy, Ramonepreston, my squad. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta, and you are watching the Ramonepreston Show every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. I come here live to give you the game, to show you concepts and principles that you can put to practice so that you can start, structure, and at some point you can scale your business, ministry, income stream, your wealth building dreams. And so again, I want to say thank you so much for joining the show today. I'm going to be talking to you about 5 critical components to creating a holding company. I talk so much about this concept called the holding company because I truly believe that it is a business concept that you can use to maximize all of the things that you have in your mind that you want to do as an entrepreneur. Even if you ain't an entrepreneur, if you're a W-2 employee, if you're a 1099 contractor, a network marketer, if you're a stay-at-home parent, if you're in transition and unemployed, this is a business concept that you can use to maximize your life no matter where you are on the broad economic spectrum. So whether you are a stay-at-home parent, unemployed, on a fixed income, or whether you balling and shot calling, doing the doggone thing every day in the marketplace as an entrepreneur, these are concepts, these are principles that you can use. I've used them to create a successful organizational enterprise, and I share these concepts and principles every day on the Ramonepreston Show. So again, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about 5 critical components to creating a holding company. Now, let me explain to you a few things before I give you these 5 critical components. Number one, when I say critical component, what am I talking about? Well, a component is something that is essential to whatever the thing is. So there are components to this camera. There are components to these social media platforms. There are components to your life. And those components, depending on how important they are, will determine, excuse me, if you need them or not. And so these are critical components that I'm sharing with you when it comes to a holding company, because if you have these critical components, these 5, at least these 5, engrafted into what you want to do as an entrepreneur, you will see success. It might not be overnight, but it can be over time. You just have to make sure that if you want to have a business and you want that business to be successful, even if you don't understand a holding company, or even if your current company is not structured and set up as a holding company, just learning these 5 components and figuring out how can you take whatever it is that you want to do as an entrepreneur, or whatever it is that you're doing as an entrepreneur, how can you take these components and graft them into your business, integrate them into your business so you can see them in practice. I promise you at some point you're going to see some positive results. So I want to give you 5 critical components, and excuse me for sniffing and snuffing and snorting, because this weather here, in Atlanta, it gets iffy around the springtime. And so when my sinuses start acting up, I just sniff and whiff and snort all day. So you're going to have to put up with it. All right. You just gonna have to put up with it. I have taken so many vitamins and so many supplements and have drunk so many juices and formulas that I don't know what else to do but to sniff. But I'm here, I'm live, and we are on the Ramonepreston Show, and we want to give you the game. So again, let's talk about these 5 critical components to creating a holding company. The first critical component is the structure. And again, these are critical components. So if you don't have a company set up, then doing it right the first time is going to play a very important role in your success. If you already got an LLC or an S Corp or whatever type of corporation you have, or if you're already doing business and you want to restructure what you're already doing, then these critical components are going to help you as well. So the first critical component to creating a holding company is the structure. It is the structure. Why is this a critical component? Because again, when you start a holding company, if you're starting it as a LLC, you're gonna do what anybody else will do when they start an LLC. You're gonna get your EIN number. You're gonna go to the IRS website. You're gonna fill out the SS4 form to get your EIN number, right? And then you're gonna go to Secretary of State, whatever state you live in, or if you go into Wyoming or Nevada or Delaware, or even if you get somebody else to do this, this is some of what they're gonna do. You're gonna get the EIN, and then you're gonna get your articles of organization. Those are the first 2 steps. So when it comes to the structure, you have a legal aspect, okay? The legal part, the legal aspect is getting your EIN number. Now, if you're doing it yourself because you know your way around these forms and these systems like the IRS website and the Secretary of State, well, the difference between you obtaining an EIN number for any LLC and obtaining it for your holding company is going to be how you specify what the purpose of that entity that you're getting an EIN number for is. You want to specify what that purpose is. And the SS4 form, whether you're doing it in person, like physically with a piece of paper, or the online version, you're not going to see holding company. So there's just a specific designation you want to have. When you go to your Secretary of State website to get your articles of organization, remember, this is going to satisfy the legal side of it, right? Some Secretary of State portals are not going to have a designation for holding companies. They may have it as a NAICS code. That's the codes to show you, to specify like what industry or what category is this business in that you're starting. Is it agriculture? Is it real estate? Is it banking? Is it finance? Is it construction? Is it restaurants? Is it retail? Is it technology? Well, when you're doing articles for a holding company, some state portals are going to have the area to show you it's a holding company. Like Georgia has it. Some states don't. So you're either going to put that language for a holding company in your provision, in like an optional provision. They may have a section. Or if not, you're going to just draft it in your operating agreement. So again, this is a critical component to creating a holding company, the structure. This is the first critical component because there's a legal side to it. You want to make sure you have your EIN number and your articles of organization, and hopefully you are educated enough, or you have someone who's educated enough to at least know what language needs to be used to specify what the purpose of this company that you are getting an EIN and articles of organization for are about. What is the purpose about? What exactly is this company going to do? A lot of people miss it right here. I know a whole lot of people who say they got holding companies and they don't even understand this part. So that's the legal part of the structure. Also, the ownership. This is another part of the structure component, ownership. Because when you understand the ownership of a holding company structure, what you understand is you are going to be at the top and you're going to own the holding company. And then you're not going to own the other companies. So you shouldn't own company number 2, company number 3, company number 4, company number 5. You shouldn't own those companies. If you understand the ownership part of this structure, which is a critical component, you're going to take company number 2, company number 3, company number 4 or 5, or however many companies you have, and you're going to put those companies under the ownership of the holding company, because the goal is for you to own the holding company. At some point, your holding company is probably going to be owned by your trust, and you're going to own your trust. But in the beginning, most people don't start out with the trust. Most people just start out trying to figure out, okay, I want to get out here and make money for my business. I want to sell a product. I want to provide a service. I want to get that bag. And so most of the time, you ain't getting stuck and hung up on, oh, do I got my trust right? And do I got my paperwork right? Most of the time, you out there scrapping, trying to make money. So the structure is really not about the trust at this level. Most of the times, the structure is about you understanding that you got one company that you own, and this one company owns all the other companies. Now, if you do not know what is a division and what is an actual subsidiary, that's something that you need to learn. Which the good part about all of this that I'm sharing with you on the show is I'm giving you an offer. I've been extending this offer for the past week and a half now. Within the next 10 days, we're gonna host a live holding company workshop right here at my headquarters. Saturday, April the 22nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'm gonna do a one-day deep dive on all this stuff. Everything that I'm talking about right now, I'll be sharing with you on Saturday, April the 22nd during my one-day holding company workshop. So you're gonna learn all the ins and outs. I'll have one day to deep dive into all these concepts and principles, show you how to actually use them as an entrepreneur. And with my offer that I'm extending, and I have extended it for the past week or so, I'm giving you access to my online holding company course and startup kit. So all this information is also inside of my course. It's a virtual course. It's video based. We have documents and forms and walkthrough tutorials, and we answer all the questions you're gonna have about holding companies. So I want you to take me up on that offer when I extend it to you today, because I wanna get you onboarded today on my course to learn about the holding company that gives you 10 days to start training, so that when you join me on Saturday, April the 22nd, you already got your mind wrapped around this whole concept about the holding company, and you're probably going to be like light years ahead already. So again, the first component to creating a holding company is the structure. So you have a legal side of the structure, which is something you want to be familiar with, and then you have an ownership side to the structure. Okay, now when it comes to the structure, that's pretty much all you just need. You need your EIN number, you need your articles of organization, and you need to make sure that it is put together in a way to where you own the holding company. And if you have other companies that you want to start or that you have existing, those are going to be subsidiaries. So you want them to fall under, the umbrella of the holding company. This is the structure side of your organizational enterprise. If you just do this right the first time, you're going to save yourself a lot of stress. You're going to save yourself a lot of headaches, a lot of confusion. And you like, I could talk about this for the next 3 days, just the structure. I could talk about just the structure for the next 3 days. One of the reasons is because a lot of people who don't have their structure of their business set up the right way, they struggle with confusion and uncertainty because they all over the place. The reason why they all over the place because they don't have a centralized structure. They don't have a structure that's set up for them to understand how their ideas should flow. So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. So if you are at the top of the mountain right here and you have a holding company, and you understand the concept of a holding company because you're educated on this business concept. What happens is when you start getting ideas that come to your mind, those ideas are not going to confuse you to make you think you need to start all of these different entities. because that's not going to be the goal for you to start all those different entities. The goal is going to be for you to filter those ideas through the structure of your holding company to see, is this an idea that I need to put through research and development and maybe run as a division in my main holding company? Or do I need to create a subsidiary, a separate entity for this idea because I know it's going to work? This is going to prevent all of this confusion over here, all of this crap that most entrepreneurs do, because as an entrepreneur, you get ideas every day. You have all these things that you want to accomplish and you just can't understand them because you don't have the structure of your business right. So the structure is the first critical component to creating a holding company. All right. Critical component number 2 is what I call I hope I'm spelling that right. Synchronization. The synchronization. Okay, this is a critical component to creating your holding company. How do you synchronize? Okay, synchronization. Let me just shorten it. The root word is sync. How do you synchronize all these ideas that you have in this structure? Okay, how do you make having a holding company or a parent company and having subsidiaries, how do you make that make sense? Well, it's going to require synchronization. Synchronization is a critical component to creating your holding company. So when you create these multiple entities in this structure, you want to already have what the synchronization of this enterprise in mind. You want to have that already in mind. Synchronization is about having what we call a functional flow. So that's what we want to create. We want to create a functional flow when we're synchronizing all these businesses. All right? So if you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. Let me go to another page just to kind of give you a graph of what I mean when I say synchronization. So remember, the first critical component to creating your holding company is the structure. So we want to make sure that you are here because you're the owner. Okay, if you married, it may be you and your boo up there. But if it's you. This is your holding company right here. All right. There's so many moving parts to this now. We hadn't even talked about the name. We hadn't talked about your legacy, your philosophy, your branding. We're just talking about the structure part of it legally. Okay. I want to make sure I have my EIN put together and my articles of organization put together. And I want to make sure that the language I use to specify the purpose of this legal entity is for that of a holding company. Are you with me? All right. So once I get my holding company set up, if I have other business ideas that demand that I have separate entities, I don't want to put other entities beside my holding company. I want to put those entities under my holding company because I want them to become subsidiaries. I don't want to own 4 companies. I want to own one, and I want my one to own the other 3 or the other 30. All right. So this is the first critical component. The next critical component is what I just mentioned, synchronization. So now I have to figure out, how do I create a functional flow? Remember, I just said it, synchronization, a functional flow. I've got to make sure that whatever my ideas are at the holding company level, that they flow through my holding company and into my subsidiaries. Because you don't want to end up owning one holding company, let's say, that owns multiple operating companies or subsidiaries. You don't want to have this type of infrastructure, but you don't have a functional flow, meaning that it ain't really working together. It ain't synchronized. Something is off. Something is missing. So again, this is very critical to you setting up this structure and making sure it flows correctly. Otherwise, you're going to wake up every day, because I got a lot of clients who do that, and students. They wake up every day, they got 8 LLCs, and they confused. They don't know what to do. They got 8 LLCs or 5 LLCs or 4 LLCs or 9 or 10 or 12 or 2 or 1, and they don't even know how to function in that LLC or in those multiple LLCs because they did not learn the holding company concept. They did not educate themselves on what I'm talking to you about today and what I always talk about to everybody, because I know how big of a deal it's been for me, and I know how big of a deal it can be for you. So the second critical component is the synchronization, how to create a functional flow. Now, a part of your synchronization is really a part of the third, where we at? Yeah, the third critical component. But before I give you the third one, here's what I want you to see. I want you to see that in order for this synchronization to take place, you have to have systems and processes. You have to have systems and processes. So what do I mean by systems and processes? Well, let's look at the diagram again. And I'm sorry, y'all, that I'm drawing this stuff. I'm not an artist, okay? So a lot of these drawings and these, diagrams that I'm talking about, I have them in my workbooks when I'm hosting workshops, or if you have access to my course, you can go inside of my course and you'll see all this information, and you're going to see workbooks and diagrams. I can't have all this stuff on a show, all right? So just bear with me if you feel like, dog, man, this dude ain't making sense with his little drawings. Hey, I'm trying to give it to you the best way I can. But let's digress and go back to what I just said. The second critical component to creating a holding company is the synchronization, meaning that I have to create a functional flow. I've got to make sure that if I have a holding company or a parent company that I own, and that parent company owns multiple companies, how do I create synchronization? How do I create a functional flow? Here is how you create a functional flow: with systems and processes. Okay, with systems and processes. Now, I teach about the top 5 systems and processes that you need to have in this type of infrastructure. All right. So there's an executive system, there's a sales system, there's a marketing system, there's a financial system, and there's an operational system. These are 5 systems that you need to have. All right. Now, when you put those systems inside of this, what you're saying is, let's say, for example, if you have an executive system, that means you have some type of platform, some type of technology that you're using to track what you are doing as an executive. What are you actually performing as the executive of this type of enterprise? If you have a sales and marketing system, what does that mean you have? You have like a CRM, so that your CRM can not only track the marketing and sales activities of the holding company, but the marketing and sales activities of the subsidiaries. So you can see what is working and what is not working, and this needs to synchronize together. All right, you need a financial system. Now, the difference in financial systems is you're not going to have one financial system for multiple entities. Anytime you separate an entity or you create separate legal entities, each of those entities needs their own QuickBooks system. So if you own a business, you need to have a QuickBooks system or something similar that you can track your income and expenses. Well, I ain't making no money. It don't matter. You still need to track the fact that you ain't making no money, because you need a system. If you don't have a financial system in place with one company, you ain't gonna have it with 4 or 5. You definitely ain't even gonna have it with one if you ain't got one for yourself. If you don't know where you coming and going at in your own life, as the CEO of your life, as the marketer and salesperson of your life, as the financer of your life, how you gonna do this for a business? You got to get yourself to a point to where you realize when I make the decision to start a business, I'm making the decision to work for an entity and to be an employee of that entity, even if I own the entity. So if you need an operational system, that means you're going to have some type of platform, like a project management platform that you use to track all the day-to-day activities of your business. This is a critical component that I call synchronization, because you got to create a functional flow. Otherwise, you're going to have a holding company, you're going to have divisions and subsidiaries, and you're going to have a whole lot of paperwork at home or files at home, and you ain't even going to know what you're doing because you do not have synchronization. You do not have a functional flow. Okay, what is the third critical component to creating a holding company? The third critical component is the asset management. The asset management. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, man, bruh, you spitting real game. You showing me some stuff. You teaching me some stuff. Here's what I want you to understand. Everything that I'm talking about and more, I'm going to be sharing in my upcoming workshop next Saturday, April the 22nd. It's a one-day deep dive, and I'm offering that workshop. You could join me in person or virtual for $97. Like, I'm offering a $500 workshop. People pay me thousands of dollars to come to these workshops. I'm offering it for $97, and I'm giving you access to my holding company course. So if you get onboarded today, you can start educating yourself, training today, and 10 days from now, you join me for the one-day event, in person or virtual. Don't you know how much more you're going to know about holding companies? Like, I got so much information in just that holding company course. You probably won't even finish it in 10 days. It's probably going to take you a couple months to finish it, but at least you could get access to it and see that, oh, everything he's saying to me now, it's starting to make sense. So I'm just giving you like incremental pieces of information, but I want this to be an incentive. I want this to be valuable enough for you to say, you know what? It's worth me paying at least $97 to see what is this guy actually going to do if I was in his courses, if I was a participant and an attendee at his event. You just got to pay the $97 to see it, or you just got to believe what the reviews say when you go to Google and what other people are saying. So again, the third critical component to creating a holding company is the asset management. So that means you have to form the mentality that you are an asset manager. The moment you create a company, whether it's a holding company or any company, the moment you create a company and you start adding other operations under that company or other divisions within that company, you are essentially becoming an asset manager. This is something that a whole lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners and solopreneurs miss. The reason why is because they don't have the right structure. Goes back to the first component. They don't have the right structure. The second reason why they miss this is because of the second component I gave you. They don't have synchronization. They don't have systems and processes. And so they never see themselves as asset managers because all they're doing is waking up every day owning a business, but they really own a job. And they own this job and they wake up every day as a laborer trying to figure out how I can do better working in my business, and they never work on their business. How do you work on your business? Well, you got to have it structured right to work on it. And then you got to have systems and processes so that you know exactly what areas need your time the most because you have made it make sense. And then you can become the asset manager. Now you can manage the asset of what? What is the asset? Well, the main asset is the holding company. The next asset may be other companies, but again, there are at least 30 different assets that I teach in my course just on asset management. There are at least 30 different assets that you might have in your life that you don't even see you can pull together integrate into this business system and increase the net worth and enterprise value of your company just because you bring these assets together. What kind of assets? Not just ownership interests of other LLCs. It could be copyrights, it could be trademarks, it could be intellectual property, it could be 401ks that you have that you self-direct to your enterprise. It could be real estate, it could be equipment, it could be property. It could be acquisitions of other companies. It could be partnerships with other people. It could be licenses or royalties. There are so many things that you can pool together as assets, bring them into this ecosystem, and that will increase your net worth and it will increase your enterprise value. This is what we call real asset management. All right, that's a critical component. The fourth critical component to creating a holding company is the creative tax strategy. Now, let me just say as a disclaimer, I ain't a tax strategist, all right? I'm not a tax strategist. I've never claimed to be a tax strategist. I'm not a lawyer. I've never claimed to be a lawyer. I'm not the expert in any of those things. I paid these people to do that stuff. I have lawyers that I pay. I have CPAs and tax strategists that I pay, and they teach me a lot. They show me a lot. It's only so much I can show you and share with you, because at the end of the day, you have to have these types of people in your credibility kit. That's what I call it, a credibility kit. You need, as an entrepreneur, you got to have certain people in a credibility kit, meaning that you've got to already have in mind a part of my budget, a part of my expense to run my business is to pay retainers to lawyers and consultants, and to have coaches, and to have tax strategists. Like I was just telling my students and mentees this on my coaching call the other night. I host a coaching call every Monday, and I was telling them on the coaching call that some of the new courses that I'm working on right now, one of them is tied to business valuation. And one of the factors of evaluating a business is really like, how much money am I spending on all the things that I have to do? And when I started like calculating the costs just to run a business, if you have like platforms and technology and, you know, funnels, and you got landing pages, and you got website that you're hosting, and you got all these expenses, when you start tallying up expenses, even before you get to coaches, consultants, lawyers, and all this other stuff, you're probably going to be spending maybe $2,500 a month in order to keep that business just going. You get what I'm saying? When you start adding, having a business coach, having a business consultant, having tax strategists and lawyers and people on retainers, you're gonna easily be up to about $5,000 a month. Easy, depending on which coach and consultant you're dealing with. It could be $15,000 a month, but let's just say conservatively for the average small business owner, it could easily be $2,500 to $5,000 a month. Now, only reason why I wanted to bring that up is because the creative tax strategy part, it is a component that's critical to your business. So you already have to come into this type of business structure knowing that when I do start making money, or let's look at this diagram. If my holding company is not making money, but company number 3 starts making money, I've got to have the right tax strategies and the tax strategist in place to help me identify with the non-taxable events that I can participate in to take this pre-tax money and reinvest it throughout my organization. Now, everything that you do might not be non-taxable. This is why you want the tax strategist, because there are things that at times I wanted to do, when I had one division making money over here or one subsidiary doing something and I want to reallocate that money, and I've talked to my tax strategist, and my tax strategist said, well, if you do A, B, and C, that will be a non-taxable event. This won't be a non-taxable event. However, here is how you do this. So you want to make sure that you already have this stuff in mind, because the goal is for you to expand your organizational enterprise and to get to a place to where you kick that tax can down the road so much that it's giving you the wiggle room and the space to grow, because all you've done is reinvest and reallocate and redistribute all of this money and revenue and resources into your business. And you look up one day and you realize that your value has gone through the roof. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. If it's not making sense, don't worry. You just need more education. But what I'm telling you, hey, just call a tax person and ask them what I'm saying. They'll verify it. Maybe they're watching right now. So if they are, put in the comments and let me know if I'm at least close to home plate. You get what I'm saying? Like, if I'm at least in the ballpark of saying something that you can be like, yeah, bro, you know, you ain't 100% right, but you close to right. Because you know, all you experts, you always have an angle to make sure that none of us are never right anyway. That's for another time. All right, let me go to my fifth and final critical component to creating a holding company. My fifth and final critical component is what I call the SMS Matrix. So listen to me. Everything that I have just shared with you is in my holding company course. All right? Everything that I just shared with you is inside of my holding company course. Everything that I shared with you today is also going to be discussed in depth on Saturday, April the 22nd. So if you want access to this entire course so that you can learn these concepts and principles, and you want a VIP ticket to join me next Saturday in person or virtual, I'm extending an offer for you to do so for only $97. So you pay $97. We instantly onboard you to the holding company course, where you're going to learn all this and more, way more. And you're going to get RSVP'd, and you'll get your welcome registration confirmation for my upcoming holding company workshop on April the 22nd. It's a one-day deep dive. $97. You can't beat that. $97. So just in case that's something you're interested in, all you need to do is text VIP to this number right here. I'm giving it to you before I give you this last component. Just take that number down and text VIP to that number. You can't go to my website, Ramonepreston.com or Ramone Preston University, and purchase this offer for $97. If you go to my platform, my website, the event that's coming up on the 22nd, it's listed for $497. It's a $497 workshop. We host them year round. It's a $497 workshop. If you go to my university training platform to purchase my holding company course and startup kit, it's $497. So you're going to pay $994 if you go to my website, or you could get both of them for $97. All you have to do is text the word VIP to 678-276-8253. All right? So let's talk about the fifth and final component to creating a holding company. It's the SMS Matrix. This is something I created because it made sense to me and for me, and it worked for what me and my team did. And I've shared it with all of my students, my clients. I've gotten so many reviews and results from my students and clients who have used this concept, and they've all said it's been one of the biggest transformations they've seen in their business. So what exactly is the SMS Matrix? Well, it is a creative concept that I put together. Thank you so much. She said, pin your number. One of y'all could go, daughter, one of y'all could go on Instagram if you can and join the live and put the number in there. I'm not going to be able to do it while I'm talking. So this is a creative concept that I've created to show you how to get the best results from your holding company, not from a legal perspective, but from a marketplace perspective. So the acronym for SMS is structure, marketing, and sales. So what I show people how to do is take your holding company and use it as your funnel, as your marketing and sales funnel, and position yourself at the top of your holding company, not legally, but position yourself at the top of your holding company for the purpose of branding and marketing and selling and making conversions. So for example, Ramonepreston Enterprises, legally on paper, you can look it up at the Secretary of State of Georgia, legally Ramonepreston Enterprises is a holding company. But just because it's a holding company legally doesn't mean I can't do anything else with it. All right. The primary purpose is to hold assets, to hold investments, to hold other businesses. Well, one of the assets that it holds is the assets of me, the assets of my intellectual property, the assets of my curriculum, my education, the assets of my consulting, my proprietary systems and processes for coaching. These are assets that my holding company owns. So I can use those assets inside of my holding company or outside of my holding company. But when you are introduced in the marketplace to Ramonepreston Enterprises, I have to tell you it's a holding company for you to know it. Number one, you don't care, right? You don't care because it's a holding company, right? However, I present my company from a marketing perspective as a consulting, coaching, and educational company because I'm elevating the assets that the holding company owns. So because I've repositioned myself in a unique way through my holding company using this concept here, my structure is a holding company, but for marketing and sales, it's actually a funnel. You see how that works? So when you come into the ecosystem of Ramonepreston Enterprises, yes, you are coming into the ecosystem of an umbrella parent company, but more specifically, you're coming into a funnel that I'm using my structure to market and to sell my intellectual assets, things that my holding company owns and uses that I use to consult, coach, and educate people. You can do the same thing, and here's the truth. You should be doing the same thing if you understood it the way I understand it. So again, I want to give you access to my holding company course and startup kit. Everything that I just shared with you today about these 5 components, it's in my holding company course, okay? You get access to that. You get access to my startup kit. You get access to all of the documents and forms to show you how to file and form your paperwork, how to start and structure your holding company, your operating company, any other LLC. We have the operating agreements in there. We have asset transfer agreements. We've got consulting agreements. We've got lease agreements. Anything you need to build your asset base out inside of your holding company, we have it in that course. We probably answer almost 100 different questions that we've gotten from hundreds of students and clients that have asked questions with regard to holding companies. And so not only am I giving you access to the course, but I'm also giving you a VIP ticket to join me on Saturday, April the 22nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You could be anywhere in the world. We're going to RSVP you, and guess what? We're going to send you a link to join us virtually if you can't make it here in person. And for a whole day, you can learn all the ins and outs of holding companies, business systems, processes, creative tax strategies. We're going to cover that, accumulating assets. And we're going to talk about all the things that you need to learn in order to really build a successful organizational enterprise. All you have to do is text VIP to 678 276-8253. You text VIP to this number. We're going to reach back out to you to confirm that you want to join me on April the 22nd, in person or virtual. We're gonna confirm that you want access to my entire holding company course and startup kit. And once we confirm that, we will either send you an invoice through like a DocuSign email, or we can process the it's only 97 bucks for the whole course and the one-day workshop. And once we process the $97 payment, you're gonna instantly get onboarded. It don't take nothing but a few minutes for you to get onboarded to the course. You have access to it. It's a secure site. It's a university training platform, Ramonepreston University. You're going to have access to the entire holding company course and startup kit. You can start educating and learning and training today. And then 10 days from now, you're going to join me for my live event. But today, we'll RSVP you, so you'll get your registration email to verify that you are signed up, and you can build your organization out. This has helped so many people, and I wanted to help you, especially where we are economically. I think with this whole transfer of wealth that's taking place with the baby boomer generation and our generation, I think having this type of infrastructure built for you is going to be a part of your legacy building. And for all of you who are already thinking about creating trust, it's real easy to move the asset of your holding company to your trust when you have your assets under your holding company. So it just makes that transition a little easier when that time comes. So text VIP to 678-276-8253. I appreciate all of you for joining the show today. If there's any other question you have that we have not answered and you need clarity on, just call this number. We are here live right here in Buckhead at our headquarters, and we're ready to answer your questions. We're ready to respond to your texts. We're ready to onboard you, and we're ready to RSVP you to join us, which, by the way, this holding company workshop that I'm hosting in 10 days, it's the only one I'm hosting this year. I wasn't sure if it was until I went back to our events calendar and I looked at all the events that we have scheduled. It's the only one. We only have one holding company workshop scheduled this year, and that's next Saturday, 10 days from now. So all of you that are, you're already coaching clients, you are already members of our Millionaire Mentorship Program, you need to figure out how you could get in on this holding company workshop if you need to be educated on it. So we love you. We appreciate you. CB Enterprises says, congratulations on your use of information, education, and application. It's admirable. Appreciate you, man. I thank you for that. Oh, he said, no, don't trip on the drawing. On the drawings, the information is powerful. Yeah, I can't draw a lick. So I be drawing a little bit, but I do have graphs and other diagrams that I use inside of my courses, and when we do our workshops, we have workbooks, and they have a lot of interactive content and some pictures and diagrams that you can use as well. So we appreciate you. Hope you got some value from today's show on the 5 critical components holding company. I love every one of you. Appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time. Don't start that, IG. What's up, IG? Liza, is it Liza? Liza 2023. I appreciate you. Thank you for being on. I love all of y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't meet me here. Beat me here tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time on the Ramonepreston Show.